Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very sorry for the delay. However, we are up and running here, ready at Oulton Park for round 3 of the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship. I'm going to be your host for this evening. My name's Murphy, and we're just getting the grid all set and ready to go for a dry session here at Oulton Park's International Circuit in the very picturesque town of Tarporley, out up in my neck of the woods in Cheshire. Looks as though Deadly Hawk is struggling there in terms of his connection. All sorts of messy. Interesting indeed. Let's jump on board instead with Al Axon here. Guys just going out, getting their laps, their out laps sorted. We are, of course, set for 20 minutes of qualification, and then it's going to be 45 minutes of on-track action, and it's sure to be some pretty furious action around this infamous circuit. It's been around for a long time in British motorsport, and it's hosted everything from Formula 1 back in the day to the likes of touring cars, GT cars, anything you want to throw at it, this track can handle. 15 corners in total, and I think we're clocking up just under 2.7 miles in total. That's 4.3 kilometres for any of our European brethren out there. And it's really looking to be a very interesting championship indeed. For those of you that haven't caught it yet, what are you waiting for? Get yourselves on over to Flux Motorsport's social media channels. You can find us on all of the usual suspects in the form of Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, where we'll keep you up to date with all of the goings on throughout all of our championships. Remember folks, 7 championships being run this season, but this one is certainly looking one of the most closely contested one. Got Waj up in first place, aka Josh. He's currently sat top of the leaderboard with 60 points, having a great season so far. However, for those of you that caught the very start of this stream, Pro Fubby was topping out the lap times in the practice session. He's currently sat in second place, just 4 points away from Waj, so very close up indeed. Jack de Menzies is in third position in the championship, 45 points for him, followed by the Console, who had an absolute shocker unfortunately last week at the Snetterton 200. The rain getting the better of the season champion, and you can just see him there in the background in that pink Actral Vision car, currently chasing down Al Axon, who looks to be locking up the rear, I think, on the approach there, just coming out of Shell's corner. After Al Axon in the championship, we've got the elder of the two Leggies. Don't think he is currently in the session. I know he's been having some hardware issues today, but let's have a look, see how he manages to get through this. 74 Leggy in 6th position in the championship standings so far, 35 points for him, and this is where it is really close. So remember, Al Axon 38 points, 74 Leggy in 6th place on 35, then Lecky 2000 in 7th on 34 points, jointed up with Kovkarl. Then, just 1 point behind is the younger of the two Leggies, DJ Leggy. He sat in what is in essence 9th place on 33 points. We then go a little bit of a way back towards the back markers of the championship so far. Green Gaming in 10th, who actually has a qualification penalty for this race. He's got a quali ban due to penalties sustained in other championships. His race licence has taken a battering, and he'll have to sit this qualification session out in the pits. Looks as though Al Axon's going to abandon this lap as well. So let's have a jump over to who've we got out. Let's have a look at Waj at the moment, see how he's getting on with that Hakeem Motorsport Renault Megane. So after Green Gaming in the championships, we've got Casey Redwood in the 11th. I'm sure he'll be getting lots of support from the Curb Clippers team, followed by Old Smoky, Porsche Man, and then Tibby, who isn't going to be with us today, currently missing from this one. He's sat at the bottom of the championships currently with only 7 points after missing 2 races now. 15 minutes in, and we're just starting to get these laps, and it looks as though Pro Fubby has built upon what he started in the practice session. He did get a 140.477. It was only a 10-minute session, but instantly making an impact there, Pro Fubby. Currently provisional pole position on 1 minute 39.822. Great times there from the vet, and he's going to look to really make his presence known here. This is the only championship that he's continuing in so far in Season 1 here at Flux Motorsport, so he's going to try and really make an impact, hopefully for him, with a championship trophy come the end of it. This is the man that's going to try and stop him, though, closely followed by the pink car as well, chasing up the rear in the form of the console. So as we've got a few minutes, let's talk about what we've got coming up this week for you here on Flux Motorsport TV. Next races you'll be able to join in on is with Lecky on Thursday, live 8 PM UK time for the GT1 Championship. That's going to be taking on a currently predicted wet Zolder circuit, so that's going to be fraught with danger, to be honest. I'll be taking part in that one, so you can check out how the action goes in the GT1s. Then next up is the GTE Championship, live and direct on the Eastern Standard Time of 8 PM, with the GTEs taking on Sonoma this week. Then into the UK time zone again on Saturday is the LMP2's turn to take on the Sakito GP circuit. That's also another pretty hotly contested championship. Things are really pushing on with that one. But then if you're watching from an Eastern Standard Time, you'll be able to catch up with all of the Indy action live on Flux Motorsport TV as the Indy cars try and take on Texas Motor Speedway Oval Circuit. And of course, Sundays wouldn't be complete without some GT3 and stock car action. The GT3s this week taking on Sakito GP, following in the footsteps of the LMP2s, and then the stock cars also following in the footsteps, taking on the Texas Motor Speedway Oval. You can catch those 8 PM UK time for the GT3s and 8 PM Eastern Standard Time for the stock cars. So with 13 minutes remaining inside this session, Pro Fubby continues to top out the qualifying board at the moment, followed by Wajoshg. Lecky's put in a really good time. I've raced with Lecky for many years. He knows this track very well. He'll be looking to put up a fight and try and get himself in and amongst the top 5, maybe even make a strong challenge for a podium spot in the championship table come the end of this race. He's going to be pushing very hard indeed. He just needs to keep his nose clean in order to challenge for this. Al Axon currently in 5th. That is a better position than we've seen him in the recent weeks. Disappointing finish from Al last week. He actually landed up in 8th. Another person that seemed to get caught up in the rain. Didn't really agree with him, as well as the Snetterton 200, but obviously got some pace here at Oulton Park. The console, though, currently sat in 3rd position. Looks as though he's got a Wajoshg for a bit of traffic there. Wajoshg goes off the course, and the console pushes on through up the hilltop. Real tricky corner section, this one. You're braking heavily coming downhill into that chicane, and on the way out you need to make sure you project your line correctly, because there's a tyre wall there, and if you clip it, it will stop you dead, and then it's just a straight up drag all the way up to what is a very tricky corner in the form of Druids, as we see the console coming around, and yet another drag up to Lodge Corner. Another real tricky one. You need to make sure that you get your entry into this corner right, otherwise you're going to go wide and you're going to get a slow down penalty from the race director. So we'll be keeping an eye out for race penalties applied by the race director throughout this race whenever we get a little second, because this is the sort of circuit where they are definitely going to stack up. And whether or not you're watching us for the first time or the last time, you can now check out our new and improved website just by hitting the link within our YouTube channel, or alternatively type it into your device. It's www.fluxmotorsport.com, and we have great news as well here at Flux Motorsport, where the Flux Motorsport merchandise shop is now open. Go and check out our new website. Why not, whilst you're there, click on the shop link, have a look at our current wares. It is still in development, but we will be looking to bring you more products very shortly, but for now we've got a nice little selection just to wet your whistle with. Let me pull up the stream. Let's see who we've got online today checking out this action. console as well, making a big impact in that last lap. 139.560. That's going to have Pro Fubby gritting his teeth and pushing even further on. Great lap there from the console. I think you can potentially get a 138 if all the conditions are right. I'm not sure whether or not the track conditions are going to be best suited for this. A little bit chilly up here in Cheshire today, but we'll wait and see. You never know. Nine minutes and 35 remaining of the session. It is set to be dry throughout this race, as I've already mentioned, but the track conditions are going to be a variance of cloud, so they are going to have slight changes in the track temperature. However, tyres shouldn't be an issue in terms of wear or temperature unless they're pushing it super hard. So we'll look at how our other drivers are doing. We've got Old Smokey yet to set a lap. That's going to punish him. He needs to make sure that he gets out on track, otherwise he could well find himself behind Green Gaming after Green Gaming serving his qualifying ban. Let's have a look at what the Leggies are doing. Currently sat in 10th and 11th position, both of them in the IBAC BMWs. I think both DJ Leggy, 74 Leggy, and one of our stand-ins for today in the form of Deadly Hawk opting for the BMW. Can't see Deadly Hawk in the lobby at the moment, so not sure what's gone on there. However, we also have another stand-in as well for Tibby in the form of Spankmeyer, currently sat in 6th position, and can just check out his car there, currently in the SRT, so taking over from J46 Dyson's livery in that number 65 SRT. Very quick driver for those of you that know him. Often find him around our community rooms, and he'll put a challenge in pretty much any car class that you stick him in. It's going to be interesting to see how he does with some of these seasoned touring car vets today, but I know he'll be looking. He's been waiting in the wings in the reserve list. You can see him there absolutely leathering it into turn 2 there. It really is chucking around, this touring car, fully utilising the front wheel drive but still getting the back end to step out first. And you can hear him as well bouncing on the limiter. I really reckon that this could well be a full-blown qualifying setup that he's running here, because he's torturing it to try and improve that lap time, bouncing off the limiter once again. 7 minutes remaining of the session. I wonder if we're going to get an improvement here from Spankmeyer. Just having a look at the sectors at the moment. Pro Fubby has actually gone green in Sector 2. He's only a couple of tenths away from the console as well in Sector 1. So this could be an improvement from Pro Fubby. Oh, it looks as though it cost him there in the 3rd sector. Lap time has been invalidated, it seems, and he remains 1.157 away from the console as we go into the final 7 minutes of this session. Looks as though Old Smokey currently invalidating his laps, potentially struggling on this classic circuit, as we see Spankmeyer coming in for a pit stop check. Might be getting some fresh rubber on, maybe getting some engine repairs after completely torturing that poor Renault Megane. And there is one of those tyre walls, as we see Lecky getting it all wrong, heads over to the pits, because that is going to be some considerable damage. That is what you need to look out for around this Oulton Park International Circuit. Only takes one little misjudgment and things are going to go from 100 to very wrong very, very quick. Let's have a look on board with Jack de Menzies in his Vima Renault Megane. You can see it's a little bit battered on the front, but he's sticking it out. Currently 3.6 seconds away from our front 3. And it might be one that he's potentially struggling with here around Oulton Park. Jack de Menzies finished 4th last week in the rain. I think he was one of the drivers that really managed to capitalise upon the bad weather and really make some considerable gains with that. And whilst I've just had a little glance over to the stream, a currently hotel-bound flat pack is joining us. Performed really well in the Snetterton 200. Was unfortunate not to top that one out, but I'm glad that you're watching Flat Pack. Hope you enjoyed the race today around Oulton Park. This battle for the top is now within 0.3 of a second between the console, Pro Fubby and Waj at the moment. Let's have a look over to Waj once Jack Menzies completes this lap. That lap is complete. No movement there for Jack Menzies, still in 8th place. Looks as though Waj is just setting himself up for a hot lap. Pro Fubby, meanwhile, has gone purple in Sector 1. Looks as though Pro Fubby is just starting to get it all lined up. 34.556, that Sector 1 time for Pro Fubby. I'll keep an eye on Sector 2 as we continue to watch Waj make his way through the first sector. 4 minutes remaining inside this session, and then we're going to get ready and lined up onto the grid. Looks as though, to be honest, Waj may be just struggling a little bit on his entry into Shell's oil corner. We've just seen him take that hairpin. Didn't seem to be coming out with that many revs. So this might be one that he struggles with ever so slightly. Pro Fubby, meanwhile, has gone top. I was just looking at his sector times coming through on my telemetry boards. Pro Fubby comes in on provisional pole with a 139.350. So the console's got 0.2 to try and find now. In the remaining 3 minutes, it's going to be down to the wire, I think, this one. Waj, meanwhile, looking very good in his sectors. Looks as though Sector 1 letting him down. I do suspect it's the late parts of Sector 1. He's currently about 0.5 away from both Pro Fubby and the console in that Sector 1. Let's have a look what his Sector 3 is like as he comes around Lodge Corner for the final time. Comes across the line and yep, still sat around about 0.4. All of that time at the moment is in Sector 1. Just needs to try and get that a little bit smoother when he can really challenge these guys. But that being said, anything can happen within the race, and we'll wait and see what goes on once we get a green light here at Oulton Park. Let's jump over to the console, who's going to be hungry to try and get that bonus point for the pole position. He's pushing himself very hard in the final stages of this. I'm seeing there absolutely chucking it through Druids. It's for those of you that haven't raced it, Druids Corner really is one of those ones that you just have to sort of have faith in the car and the line. It is kind of blind. You go into the first section, you need to make sure that your speed isn't too great, otherwise you're just going to understeer off into the trees. But after that, you're putting all the faith into your car and your setup just to make sure that it can get round what is in essence a triple header of a right-hander. You need to usually balance the throttle. We're having a discussion in the practice session. Lecky loves to take it flat, but usually you'll be balancing your throttle on the way through just to make sure that you can put your foot to the floor on exit and get that ultimate drive out. So we're in the final minute and a half now. Just waiting for sector times to come through for the console. He's got 0.2 to make up. Looks as though it's a pretty slow first sector. He's about 0.7 away from the pace. I don't think this is going to do it for him. He is going to have another lap after this though. So he is going to have one more bite of the cherry. So he might just be taking it easy. That certainly didn't look like he's taking it easy, but he might just be taking it easy just to try and get that final lap of wondering. Lecky actually came out setting early lap times, which is not what we're used to with Lecky 2000. We often see him leaving it to the death. He'll often come out on track with 7 minutes to go and then pull an absolute blinder. But he did get out early on track and he's done pretty well. He's currently second row with, looks as though Al Axon. I think Waj was just in the pit, so I don't think he's going to have enough time to set another lap. I think he's just out testing the waters on this one. And we see Kovkarl come into the pits. That's going to be his session done. Does look as though Deadly Hawk has managed to get into this session. He was missing for quite a part of it. He's currently 13th though without a time set, and I don't think he's going to be able to set a time either. The console comes around then for the final time. Let's keep our eyes focused on him. Also, let's have a keep our eyes up on the top left-hand side, see whether or not Pro Fubby can make any improvements. Looking at his sector times at the moment, Sector 1 is looking good. It's not his quickest, but he's only a couple of tenths away from it. I actually think they're getting very, very close to the sort of maximum time. I think there might be a tenth in each of the sectors that they can scrub off, but they are really pushing themselves pretty hard here, and high 138s are pretty much the best that you're going to be able to manage with these touring cars around this circuit, at least in this sort of weather. And the console comes around, looks as though it's a 34.941, and it was invalidated, so that is the session done. He's going to have to settle for the second part of that front row. Wajoshg is still out on track, but I don't think that this is a hot lap. I think he's actually out for an out lap at the moment. So this isn't going to count for much. And we see him come straight back into the pits. Porsche man currently coasting it round, so that's his session done. Let's have a look at what Pro Fubby's doing. Looks as though that is also pretty much done for this session, so we'll wait for the timeout to go through. But Pro Fubby takes pole position and the bonus point to go along with it. Fantastic qualifying for him. It looks as though just bringing it into the pits, ready to get this grid line started. So get them confirmed. This is going to be a lineup for tonight's race here at Oulton Park. Race 3 of the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship. Pro Fubby comes out on top with pole position, followed by the console making up the front row. Second row is Wajoshg, followed by Lecky 2000. Good qualification from both of those two, and they'll be pushing hard coming into the first sector just to try and make up as many places as they can. Alaxon qualifies top of the third row with Spankmeyer alongside him. And then Kovkarl 7th, followed by Jack de Menzies, who'll look to try and make some improvements once the race begins. Casey Redwood qualifying in 9th, ahead of DJ Leggy in the IBAC BMWs. Followed by 74 Leggy, his dear old father, currently in 11th place in that other opposite red mirrored IBAC BMW. Porsche man in 12th, followed by Deadly Hawk. And then Green Gaming looks as though he's going to be ahead of Old Smoky, despite that qualification ban. So 2 minutes worth of tinker time to come. Get these drivers set up. Let me retire and get myself into the quali box. Here we are. Let's remind ourselves of the liveries for today's race. Pro Fubby first off. Just bring up my list on this. Pro Fubby racing in the number 55 in Mochi. I'll jump into the chase cam so that you can see these a little bit better. The console in his pink Actual Vision, followed by Wajoshg in the, I think it's 55 Hakkeen Racing. Lecky in his very distinctive yellow and black wasp-like Momo. Al Axon in the number 12 Air Bubbles livery, followed by Spankmeyer, who's running in the SRT Motorsport. I think it might be the number 66. I'm not too sure, but it's certainly an SRT. Kovkarl is in the PCCF. That is number 20. Very distinctive car as well. Keep an eye out for him. Jack de Menzies in the number 4 Zavima Racing livery in the Megane. Casey Redwood is operating in the number 62 Horbsner Automotive. And then the two Leggies in the IBAC BMWs. Porsche man is also in one of the SRTs. Then Deadly Hawk opting for a black BMW. Not sure what the livery is. Looks as though it's a Miss Motorsport. Green Gaming in the Monster Energy towards the back of the grid. That is number 87. And then Old Smoky in the number 7 Actual Vision. So there's the grid lined up. Got 20 seconds worth of tinker time, and then this race is going to get underway. Let me know your predictions. Already starting to see a few familiar faces here out on the stream. Some significant others offering their support for the guys on the grid, but here are the lights. Revs are up, lights are green. Good start from everyone, except it seems we've got a stray BMW out on track. I think that's Deadly Hawk. Not sure what's gone on there, but that is going to cause absolute havoc throughout this race unless he gets that car shifted. So Pro Fubby leads to the console with Waj right behind. The console makes a mistake there, actually, coming into turn 2, and he's going to drop all the way down the field just to try and get himself back on cleanly. See him taking out an advertising hoarding there on the side of the road. So it's Pro Fubby followed by Waj. Lecky now in third position and all over the back of Waj. Waj actually goes a little bit wide, it seems. He's going to have to try and brake. That is easier said than done, and he actually collides with the wall. So Waj is going to really suffer with all of this. He's going to have to try and get himself back on grid. But he is going to be right at the very back of that grid. So Pro Fubby leads the race. That is now Lecky in second, Al Axon in third position, closely followed by Jack de Menzies, Spankmeyer and Kovkarl in a train just behind them. We've then got a bit of a gap to DJ Ledgy, followed by Casey Redwood, who's managed to make up a position, with Old Smoky making up a ton of positions, it seems, followed by Porsche Man in 10th, 74 Ledgy in 11th. Then the console in 12th with his second corner antics really costing him dearly. And Waj is probably going to be in the pit lane here for some repairs due to that front end bump. We'll have to wait and see. We do have a car, I think, stranded on track. That simply isn't good enough from Deadly Hawk. If he is still remaining in there, that we'll soon see as we come up. No, luckily it looks as though he's being moved. Is he actually moving? He is indeed. Snooze and lose from Deadly Hawk. That's going to cost him dearly. So Pro Fubby has a huge lead in just one lap to Lecky. Currently running around about a second. That's not going to last for long though. Trust me, Lecky is going to be gritting his teeth and smelling a victory here, just provided he can stick to the back of Pro Fubby throughout all of this. They've been racing together for quite a few sessions, I believe, perhaps on this track, but certainly know the sort of calibre of driver that both of them are up against. Probably know all of the little tricks and tips that they've got between each other as well, so that's going to be very interesting. However, let's get back down to this battle for fourth place at the moment. In fact, it's a battle for third. That's Jack de Menzies in the front in the Zavima, and then we're currently tracking Spankmeyer around. Big puff of smoke from Jack de Menzies, but Spankmeyer is also being chased down by Kovkarl as well. So 3 cars battling for third position, and then a big battle going on as the console has absolutely ramped his way all the way up to 6th position. Great recovery there in just one lap as he overtakes, or it looked as though he overtook DJ Ledgy. I think there might have been a slowdown penalty there. And Old Smoky is also running really well. He just goes up the inside, now gets stuck around the outside. But if he can hang on to the back of these cars, this looks like a really, really interesting battle going on here. Jump in the cockpit of Old Smoky. So this is Old Smoky's actual vision. That is the console ahead of DJ Ledgy that you can see just coming into Druid. Now you get what I mean about that sort of triple threat right-hander, and Old Smoky's making moves here on the console, having a little look up the inside, and is he going to be able to hold it into the braking zone? He's not. Falls back in line. All 3 of them avoiding contact, and it looks as though Old Smoky's going to sneak up the inside, and he takes the BMW around the start-finish line. Great move there by Old Smoky, and he's absolutely hounding the console. Don't forget, Old Smoky currently, I think he's 13th. Oh no, I beg your pardon, 12th in the championship, currently taking on the previous season's champion. Let's see whether or not Old Smoky can keep this up. I certainly hope he can. Battle for 4th place at the moment. Looks as though Jack de Menzies has been able to pull out around about a 2-second gap to the 4th place of Kovkarl. Kovkarl has managed to get himself past Spankmeyer as well. So Spankmeyer now in 5th position. That looks as though it's evened out a little bit. So let's get back to this battle going on here as DJ Ledgy looks to try and overtake his position back from Old Smoky. Old Smoky having an absolute blinder here. 40 minutes remaining inside the race. We're only 5 minutes down. A lot of race to go, but a real surprising run of form here in terms of the positions. So Pro Fubby continues to lead, and he is making small gains as well on Lecky. However, that last lap around, Lecky was 3/10 quicker, so Lecky is still within touching distance. Just needs to make sure that he keeps it heading in the right direction in terms of those lap times. In fact, that last lap from Lecky, 1:39.282, was the fastest lap of the race, so that could well be a bonus point for him come the end of this session. Jump back down the running order. Let's have a look at what's going on. In fact, just missed a bit of action there as Porsche man, I think, gets Druids wrong. Ends up coming out second best to 74 Ledgy, and that's Al Axon as well, making his way up the inside. So Al Axon moves up into 12th position. Porsche man just struggling to try and keep that Cavoul on the black stuff. Back over to a battle for third place. Looks as though Kovkarl has taken that place away from Jack de Menzies. That suggests that there was a mistake from Jack, and Kovkarl has now moved up into third place, which would be his best finish of the season, what we come to expect from Kovkarl in former seasons and races in the touring car division. Currently 15 seconds away from the lead, so in just 4 laps the front 2 drivers have really separated themselves out, and it looks as though Leckie making a couple of mistakes in that last lap. 140.521, maybe pushing it a little bit too hard trying to make up that deficit, but he knows that if he loses track of Pro Fubby, he's going to really struggle to try and get that back. Back down the order, let's have a look. DJ Ledgy is being taken on by Wajoshg at the moment. We see a flash of the lights there, which suggests maybe a bit of a slowdown penalty being applied, or perhaps even a thank you. So Wajoshg there using all of that apex, taking out a few cones as we see, but 2 tyres remain within the white lines inside the track limits, so race director is going to call that one as good, and he pushes on Hilltop here on the approach to Druids. Not going to be able to keep up with that BMW through there, but he may be able to get the power down a little bit better through that very tricky right-hander. We'll wait and see as we come up to Lodge. She goes up the inside of Lodge, and that looks to be a fantastic move. Great move there from Wajoshg as he takes 8th place away from DJ Ledgy, just a little bit braver on the brakes. Knew how he wanted to take it up the inside of Lodge, and then just driven straight away over the start-finish line and got an instant gap ahead of him. Bit of comfort room there as Wajoshg tries to move his way back up the running order. Let's have a look at the console. The console, we saw an early mistake. You can see him just there giving a long flash of the lights to Jack de Menzies. The early mistake cost him. He was down to around about 12th position as he moves up the inside there into Shell Oils, and relatively simple move. I'm not sure whether or not the lights were indicating that there was a slowdown penalty and it was a thank you, but that was super simple from the console. Moves past Jack de Menzies, now in 4th position, and this is more like the console that we come to expect, unlike Snetterton 200 rain-bound console. Really looking to have a decent one, and I think Big Al might well have a packet of Garibaldi's waiting for him. Loves a biscuit when he performs well. 36 minutes to go though, so he's got a bit of catching up to do. 21 seconds behind the race leader at the moment. Has got a potential podium in him, just so long as he can catch up to the back of Kovkarl. Bit of action going on back here as well. 74 Ledgy being chased down by Al Axon. So that's Al Axon moving up in the air bubbles. He's going to have to go the long way around the outside. Has got the inside once they get up to Hilltop for Druids though. See whether or not he can make it stick. I think 74 Ledgy, wealth of experience coming in there. Took the corner quite deep. Very composed around that right-hander. Just managed to get the power down earlier. See Al Axon just having a little look up the inside, similar to what we saw Wajoshg do with the younger of the 2 Ledgies, but looks as though he's got him on the drive as they come through Deer Leap up over the start-finish line. And I think Al Axon's got this move done. I think 74 Ledgy's going to struggle in the BMW to try and maintain that sort of position. Very close battle in between these 2 really quick drivers. Not often that you see them this far down in the running order. It just shows you that anything can happen in a touring car, with cars with around about 300 horsepower, all quite well balanced. It's just a difference of front wheel drive or rear wheel drive that is the main factor between both the BMW and the Renault Megane. Anything can happen, very evenly spread. Just seems as though we've got a couple of aliens usually sat at the top, and it's this week it's Pro Fubby and Leckie 2000. Leckie now just struggling to keep within touching distance of Pro Fubby. See a cone going absolutely flying there. Not sure where that cone came from, but flashed across my screen. Let's have a look, see whether or not we can see Lecky in the background as we track over to Profubby. I think you could just see his bonnet coming over the top of Old Hall, and there you can just make him out in the background of Cascades. So it isn't a huge gap. It would take a mistake from Profubby, and what we've come to learn in these first 3 races inside the FMTCC is it's not often that he makes one. So we'll wait and see what happens, but Lecky will just need to try and keep himself on point. And we see Jack de Menzies coming into the pits. I think that's going to be a damage repair. Definitely not going to want to come in for tyres, not after lap 7 anyway. So damage repairs for Jack de Menzies, that's going to fall him right down the running order. Could well see him put into dead last. He'll just have to try and catch up and hope that the new car sees him good. Bit of a battle going on once again for 3rd place. So the console's made up 2 seconds in a couple of laps, and he's now hanging on the back of Kovkarl. Part of the moderator team, the current FMTCC champion, and pushing Kovkarl very, very hard indeed for that final podium spot. Looks as though he's making a move up the inside, under braking as we come into his lops. Got that move done. Just needs to make sure that he doesn't clatter that tyre wall and Knickerbock, and he's got it absolutely hounded. So the console moves up into 3rd position, pretty clear instantly of Kovkarl. And now just needs to push on and hope for a mistake from any of the front 2 runners if he's going to be able to better his current 3rd position. Jack de Menzies is since out of the pits. He finds himself in 12th position. He's a number of 11 seconds back at the moment to Alex, and currently ahead of Porscheman, Deadly Hawk and Greek Gaming at the moment. 32 minutes remaining inside this session as Waj moves up a position as well. Looks as though that could well have been a double overtake for Waj. Moves up into 5th place, taking on Spankmeyer and Old Smoky. Old Smoky though still doing well and just about to run around the outside, which is the optimum line for turn 1 into Old Hall. And he continues to reign in 6th place, and you can see the difference that that line makes between himself and Spankmeyer there. Takes it outside to inside around Old Hall, and he's been able to make up around about half a second just from that, because they were running side by side on the approach to turn 1. Old Smoky will really get himself a decent amount of points coming into this. Should he manage to make this one stick, he might even be able to build upon it as well. I don't think his current lap times are anything to go by, but we'll wait and see what happens in regards to Kovkarl. I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with Waj. Obviously not keeping up with the pace of the console, Lecky or Profubby, unless there's a mistake made, but may be able just to equal or better Kovkarl. So we'll wait and see how this one goes, but a definite shock, and currently my drive of the day, I think, in terms of improvement from Old Smoky. Spackmeyer though keeping distance at the moment, round about 1 second the split time between them both. "31 minutes remaining, anything can happen." Just about reaching 1/3 of the way through this race. So we've got Little God on the stream as well. Also NRP, good to see both of you, Little God. I'm sure he'll be loving this one. He's currently saying that it's very tight. It looks as though it's evened out a little bit at the moment, Little God, but anything can happen in 30 minutes of action. We have still got plenty of drivers very, very close to one another. Let's have a look at what's going on at the moment. A little bit further back, so we've got the 2 Leggies, 8th and 9th place at the moment. Casey Redwood running very well indeed. Has struggled to get these his touring car career off the ground here in Flux Motorsport. Does very, very well in GT Sport with our good friends at Curb Clippers. But we're seeing improvements every single time from Redwood. And hopefully he can keep this one up. Looks as though we've had a dropout. Oh, in fact, no, beg your pardon, it's me that's dropped out. Just saw 15 on the grid, and I'm used to seeing myself in dead last. But yep, still got a full grid here. 29 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Profubby has now got almost 4 seconds, and Lecky lost around about 4 seconds of those in that last lap, so Lecky needs to just keep it on the straight and narrow. Let's have a look at what's going on in that car of Lecky's. Jump onto him on the trackside, so car is clean as a whistle, obviously not being involved in any bumps or scrapes, and looks as though that is the Emochi livery of Pro Fubby in the foreground, so he's still within touching distance, and you can see how much he really throws it into that corner. Definitely drives it like he nicked it. That is the way with these front wheel drive cars, they appreciate it. Slowly catchy monkey doesn't always work best, and once again absolutely leathering it around there. Just needs to make sure he doesn't scrub too much time off by getting too sideways, but as we can see from his lap times, not much of a risk from that. Still keeping within touching distance and managing to avoid those deadly tyre stacks. So making short gains here, just keeping an eye out on the sectors. Looks as though Casey Redwood made improvements in that last lap. Al Axon, meanwhile, though, set his best lap in lap 10 that last time around. 1:42.594 from Al Axon, currently in 11th place. He's currently got 4.8 seconds to Casey Redwood. Just needs to try and get this one hooked together a little bit. He had a disappointing race last week. He doesn't want to in the bounce. He did finish runner-up in the championship last season, so he'll be disappointed at his current standings in the championship in 5th place. We see Lecky there just getting a little bit loose coming through turn 1. Managed to catch it, but it did take a big lift off the throttle in order to do so. Look what's going on back here. Looks as though we've got a bit of action in the form of Old Smoky and Spankmeyer. Spankmeyer has taken that place off Old Smoky, but Old Smoky is right in there at the moment trying to take it back. Not much of a split time between these two drivers. You see just a little bit of corrective steer there from Old Smoky. Looks as though he maybe turned in a little bit too early, and that's given the advantage to Spankmeyer. You see him just making up a little bit of time as they come across the start-finish line up to Old Hall. Two differences in line though there, and Spankmeyer gets a little bit loose onto the curbs. That's not going to be a slowdown penalty, but it is going to scrub off a little bit of speed. The black stuff is much quicker than that artificial grass just on the runoff there, as you can see that sort of on that corner as well, coming down Cascades. A little bit of artificial turf with some plastic grating on it. I'm sure NRP will fill our guys in, our resident marshal and track manager around Silverstone, quite often repairing all sorts of bits and pieces similar to that. But correct me if I'm wrong there, Nicky. So lap 12 now from the race leaders. Pro Fubby still leading to Lecky. Lecky has lost a bit of time in these last few laps. He now finds himself 5.5 seconds back from Pro Fubby. The console, meanwhile, is looking pretty comfortable in 3rd position. He's got 3 seconds to Kovkarl at the moment, who in turn has got 11 seconds to Wad, but that is closing down lap by lap. Wad's setting a 1:40.645 last time around. Kovkarl on a 1:42.5, actually. It was a 2, but setting a 1:42.5. So Kovkarl, he's not careful in the last 25 minutes. He's going to lose out on that 4th place by Wad. Just needs to try and pick up the pace ever so slightly. Not that he can hear me at all, of course. I Spankmeyer actually went quickest that last lap around for himself, setting his best lap of the day with a 1:45.051. He's gone a little bit slower this time around, but Old Smoky has as well. I wonder whether or not tyres just starting to slow down ever so slightly, just scrubbing off a little bit of speed as we see Old Smoky there getting onto the dirt. Just seem to maybe turn in ever so slightly early, and that car looking a little bit loose and a little bit slower as well. You can hear a lift off as they come through Cascades. Let's flip on over to Al Axon, currently running in 10th position, but he is catching up to the back of 74 Ledgy's iBack BMW at the moment. Not too far away from there, and I'm sure Lucy will be cheering him on. Let's jump in the cockpit. Let's have a look how this track looks on the way up just through Island Bend now here, about to hit the braking of the tight hairpin of Shell's oil. And they're bouncing the car off the limiters, down the gears. A bit of an early shift there from Alaxon. Going to come up into Britain's now, heavy on the brakes for this chicane. You want to make sure you don't take too much of the left, otherwise it's going to bounce you away and put you at risk of that tyre stack. Up over hilltop and then back down it, ready for how late you dare brake for Hislops. Want to once again avoid that sausage curb on the right hand side. Hold on to the left and then chuck it in as early as you dare, just to make sure that you miss that second tyre stack. Those tyre stacks will mess that car right up. So look pretty clean from Alaxon. Not made much of a gain though from the BMW. 74 Leggy currently running pretty well in 9th, just ahead of his younger son, of course a younger son, in 8th position. See Alaxon there just having a little look inside, then outside, back up to the inside as they come up to Clay Hill. He's going to hold on to the inside this time. I don't think he's going to be able to out-drag that BMW. He's also not on the best line, so he's going to have to brake a little bit earlier, and that allows the BMW just to come through turn 1 and recover that position. Deadly Hawk into the pits for the first time, currently running 15th, so that's just going to put him a little bit further back from the current runners. And a baptism of fire from Deadly Hawk. Not sure what went on at the start, but it was an heart-in-mouth moment as that BMW just didn't get off the line at all. He found himself around about 20 seconds back immediately on the race start. Look what's going on a little bit further up the field. We'll keep our eye out on this battle for 9th place with Alaxon. Old Smokey, meanwhile, is still trying to get the better of Spankmeyer. He's got even closer now. Just having a look at the difference between this two. It's around about half a second at the moment. Old Smokey pushing hard onto Spankmeyer, trying to get hold of that 6th place finish, which will be his best of the season so far. Remember, Spankmeyer is a reserve for this race. He's coming in a standing position. However, if Tibby misses his next race, that seat will become open to Spankmeyer, and I'm sure he'll be desperate to try and get involved. Currently not running in any of the other championships, but he has been itching to it just a little bit late on the championship sign-ups, and it's cost him, but he's got Old Smokey to contend with today, and it's looking like a real hot contest. Meanwhile, up at the front of the grid, let's not take anything away from our current race leader in the 55 Emochi Pro Fubby. Now almost 10 seconds ahead of Lecky. Lecky has fallen away ever so slightly. We'll have a little look over to him at the moment. Can't see any damage on that car. However, whilst we're a little bit spaced out, let's have a look at the timings. 4 seconds worth of penalty for Lecky, 2 for Kovkarl, 2 for Waj. Old Smokey with 4 seconds. Alaxon with 2 seconds, and Jack Demenzies with 4. We'll check on the rest of the runners come the end of the race, but Lecky needs to maybe pick up the pace a little bit, otherwise he's going to be challenged by the console, especially with that 2-second penalty being applied. So 21 minutes for this race. We are lap 15 of this Oulton Park International Circuit. Continuation of the battle. Spankmeyer and Old Smokey still going at it. Less than a second between the two. In fact, around about half a second there or thereabouts. He keeps on switching up and down. This one's going to the wire, I think. And look how much he's managed to gain through that. Spankmeyer gets a little bit too much to the inside, gets onto the dirt, and Old Smokey is just hunting for that way around. That is Green Gaming's Monster Energy that we can see up top, just in the foreground of your picture. So there is no way past at the moment for Old Smokey. He's having a look left, he's having a look right. So Green Gaming there moving out the way under blue flags for these front runners to try and get through. And there is nothing in between these two at all. It's a real tasty battle. I do want to see what's going on a little bit further down the field, but I also don't want to miss any of the moves that you can see Old Smokey trying to pull. He's He's looking for every single opportunity in every overtaking position, of which there are many around this Oulton Park circuit, looking for every single one of them. Meanwhile, though, let's have a look at what's going on between Alex, and Alex has managed to get past 74 Ledgy. 74 Ledgy, though, is hanging on to the back of him at the moment. We'll wait and see how long that lasts. It does look as though Alaxon is getting the better of him in terms of lap times. Casey Redwood as well, also breaking into the sub 44 seconds. That last time around, he's only 4 seconds back. In fact, you can see him there just being taken on by Jack de Menzies at the moment. Let's jump on board into the cockpit of Jack de Menzies as we make our approach up into his lops. See there, just a little nudge. I think that's going to be a little slow down. Let him return back to track. That's what we like to see. Gives the position back, comes to battle once again, just riding the very outside of that track limit. And you can tell just from that little let off as they came through Knickerbrook, he's ended up losing a little bit of pace. You can hear his revs drop down. He's having to make it up. Looks as though Deadly Hawk is once again back into the pits, really struggling in that BMW. Has had plenty of time to prepare for this race. He was called up over the weekend. I think Deadly Hawk maybe just struggling a little bit, maybe with the calibre of driver or perhaps even the track conditions, but not having his best outing at the moment. 6 minutes back and still inside the pits. This is Jack de Menzies still tracking round on the battle with Casey Redwood. Casey Redwood in the blue and white. Jack de Menzies looks as though he's got that move done up the inside. Need to make sure that he doesn't collect him there. Very, very close indeed as they come up to this almost flat left-hander, if you get the line right. Jack de Menzies couldn't have taken that one flat, though. Is he going to contact with the wall? I think he's avoided it and avoided the deepest part of that gravel. Looked out there, quick thinking from Jack de Menzies, but he lost out on lots of time. Just can't take it flat when you're on the inside line. And not sure whether or not he braked, couldn't see from this angle, but even with the left off, you've pretty much maxed out on the approach up to Island Bend. However, Jack de Menzies is caught right up. Casey Redwood has taken a position from 74 Ledgy, and Jack de Menzies also takes it through as well. That looks as though that's a slowdown penalty, unless it was a complete misjudgment from 74 Ledgy. 74 Ledgy now falls down to 12th place. Meanwhile, his younger counterpart up in 8th position at the moment, and only 6 seconds back from Old Smoky and Spankmeyer. Spankmeyer has been able to gain up a little bit of a lead, but that battle still looks as though it's on at the moment. In fact, it looks as though a bit of commentator's curse. Looks as though we just lost a heap of time as soon as I mentioned it, coming across the start-finish line. And in fact, here is what I predicted a little bit earlier on in the race. Josh, aka Waj, now approaching the back of Kovkarl. 16 minutes to go, and Kovkarl's going to have his work cut out if he's going to manage to hold on to 4th position at the moment. Got tight gaps all throughout this grid, except really at the front where Profubby leads to Lecky by 10.5 seconds at the moment. The console also in quite a bit of clean air, 9 seconds ahead of this battle that we've got going on. But the console does look as though he's well out of reach for anything better than a 3rd place finish today. See whether or not Wajoshg is going to be able to take this in the next couple of laps. And just in case you've joined us late, maybe you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Flux Motorsport, where we pride ourselves on realistic, clean and fun sim racing for the PS4. Currently running on Project Cars 2, but we are just a general sim racing community here. Perhaps if you race on Project Cars 2 but you're focused on other games, don't worry about it. Get yourselves joined in. You'll find plenty of our drivers race on other games as well, and you'll find plenty of clean people to fill up your lobbies. Just head on over to www.fluxmotorsport.com and you'll find a link on there on how you can join our Discord. And if you haven't used Discord before, don't worry, it's completely free. You'll be able to download it for whatever device you use. It is available for all of them, and it's free for all of them as well. Click that link and you'll be with us as soon as you do. You'll just need to fill out a couple of bits of information as Waj finally sees an opportunity and takes that 4th position from Kovkarl. Oh, fantastic race here at Oulton Park. It's always going to be. Do love having this one on a touring car calendar. It's almost like it was made for it. Plenty of pray and chuck sort of corners, plenty of heavy braking zones, plenty of obstacles to try and navigate through as well. So now that that battle's done, let's have a look at what's going on a little bit further down. Casey Redwood and 74 Ledgy. In fact, Casey Redwood still trying to catch up to the back of Jack de Menzies. He's still within touch at the moment. Didn't have the best lap last time, but I think there's been a mistake there. That's Green Gaming getting way out of the way once again. Green Gaming's penalty applied for not obeying blue flags, and obviously the message is stuck. He's getting right out of the way there for the rest of the field. Doesn't want to get caught up in another one, because after a qualifying ban, get a few more points on your licence, it will be a race ban, and eventually your race licence will be revoked and will be withdrawn from all of the championships. Let's jump back onto this battle. Let's see whether or not Kovkarl can keep onto the back of Waj. Currently not. In fact, Waj is going pretty well. Console slowed down ever so slightly in that last lap, 143.01. Well, 081 must I say. Lecky actually running a little bit quicker than Pro Fubby that last time around. He's still 11.3 seconds back. Don't think it's going to be any vast improvements in the final 13 minutes. But I do believe that Lecky still holds the current fastest lap for this race. Just swinging through my telemetries, he does. Lecky currently holding the fastest lap of the race with a 139.282. It's a stonking lap, that. And that may well be enough for the bonus point, which Lecky will be very, very happy about, just to try and improve the woes of last week with his 14th place finish at the Snetterton 200. Strategy got all sorts of wrong, and he also got a pretty hefty hit as well, I do believe, due to some lag issues. So back down the running order. In fact, let's get a little bit further back. That is DJ Ledgy that we're currently following in the 68 iBack BMW, and that is Jack de Menzies right in the background of it. Had a bit of a troublesome race, Jack de Menzies, but seems to be making it up, and he might be able to get himself up into 9th place after this. And I think you can see Al Axon and Old Smokey just ahead as well, so not too far away. Whether or not he's going to be able to do that sort of gap in just shy of 12 minutes, we'll have to wait and see. Jack de Menzies looking for his opportunities. They go left, they go right. Coming up to the final corner. Looks as though Jack de Menzies is going to break in deep. In fact, no, it looks as though he took a completely invented line. He made it stick as well. Great move from Jack de Menzies. Was not expecting that. I was expecting a late break and a bit of a cutback. Looked as though he braked pretty much at the same time and just trusted that DJ Ledgy wasn't going to run wide. Fantastic move from Jack de Menzies. It's enough to earn him 9th place currently, so provided he can hold on to it. Look at what's going on back here. Waj and Kovkarl. Couple of seconds separating those. Looks as though Waj has been able to build up a bit of a lead now. And currently charging towards the console. I don't think he's going to be able to make a big impact in the final 10 minutes, but anything can happen. And it only takes one mistake on one of those tyre stacks to really mess with your day. Does look as though we've got a bit of a father-son battle going on. In fact, we've got a 3-car battle for 10th place. Casey Redwood currently running in 10th. DJ and 74 Ledgy running nose to tail in the iBack BMWs. Let's jump into the cockpit of one of those. In fact, we'll go into the back. So now on board with 74 Ledgy. Let's see where the braking line differs. Looked as though 74 Ledgy on the brakes ever so slightly later in terms of the track position. See Deadly Hawk there pulled over to the side. And looks as though he's going to get this move done around the outside. In fact, now he falls back in line. I didn't know whether or not he was going to hold up the inside. and really hold on to your hats for the way round Druids. Both of them look very equal around there though. Neither of them wanting to make a big mistake, and that is Lecky that we can see heading up in the background. That distinctive yellow and black Momo car. As we see 74 Leggy running a little bit deep. So give Lecky nice easy passage through it. Lecky passes through the back markers, and you can see the way he's constantly battling with the front of that car. That just shows that he's driving the absolute socks off it at the moment. Doing whatever he can to try and make that deficit even smaller to Pro Fubby. It's been a great drive from Lecky. Managed to keep his nose clean right at the very start of the race, and it's just been plain sailing from then, really. Oh, just went over to all new 82 Alaxon right at the very wrong time there, just as he was going off track. Didn't lose a position. Just letting his way through back marker, so it might have been purposeful. Not too sure, but looks as though it's going to be 8th place for him unless he can make up a couple of seconds in the final 8.5 minutes. Rest of the field pretty well balanced out. We have still got that battle going on between the two Leggies, so let's have a look over to our leader. Let's see where he's currently at. In fact, he was just ahead of Alaxon. So up ahead you can see Old Smokey's Actual Vision, that green and black and white liveried car. I'm not sure, but it might have been the console that was just ahead of him. I'm sure as we come up to Cascades Lakeside we should get a better view of it. In fact, I just missed it then. See a little flash of the lights from the drivers. Pro Fubby approaches the back marker. He didn't have, wasn't too close to the back of him, but he is that time. Old Smokey falls back in line and now got to try and defend his position from Alaxon. Unfortunately, the blue flags have cost Old Smokey there, just giving Alaxon a bit of a one-up. And we'll have to wait and see whether or not he's going to be able to defend this one. That is sometimes just the way that the cookie crumbles when it comes to blue flags. You want to get out the way as soon as possible so that you don't hold up the race. And we see him just getting a little bit loose there on the back, on the braking through Britons. And this might well be a challenge from Alaxon into his lops. We'll wait and see whether or not he's going to get him into the braking. He isn't indeed. Little puff of smoke, but he runs a little bit wide on the exit of his lops. And now they fall once again back in line. In fact, blue flags have also cost Spankmeyer as well. Spankmeyer now under attack from Old Smokey. Old Smokey may well be able to take this 6th position back as he moves around. I thought he was going to go around the outside there at Druids. Falls back in line, but he is sprinting his way up into the braking of Lodge. 3-car train now in the battle for 6th position. Spankmeyer at the front of it. Old Smokey in 7th, and then Alaxon waiting in the wings in 8th position. Looks as though Old Smokey's made his way up to the inside. He's going to have to get hard onto the brakes for the first corner. And we've seen it a few times now that just you can't take that line quick enough to be able to hold on to the position. You end up falling back into back into the car behind. Just needs to hold on to the outside line for it, but a valiant move there from Old Smokey. He is going to come under pressure though from Alaxon now. Alaxon having a little look up the inside as we come into the braking for Island Bend. Say braking for Island Bend, sorry. There isn't any braking, it's just a quick lift off and then right back onto the power. 3 cars very, very close indeed into the final 5 minutes of this race. Race 3 of the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship here at Oulton Park's International Circuit. If you've enjoyed this, trust me, you're going to love what we've got coming on for the rest of the season here in the Touring Car Championships. Next week, you'll be able to join me live at Silverstone's National Circuit. Keep your eye out on the weather for Monday afternoon for that one. We do lock it in Monday afternoon for the weather for Tuesday, so could well be set for a little bit of rain there at Silverstone, which is going to make that one a very interesting race indeed. That will be our final race here in the United Kingdom as we look to go too wide up into Druids. We've got Old Smoky heading up the inside. They need to make sure that they don't make any collision and they get through cleanly. Spankmeyer still remains in 6th position. Old Smoky in 7th, but he's getting hounded at the moment by Al Axon. So as I was saying, after the final race around the English tour of the Touring Car Championships, we actually head on over to Germany for a couple of legs there. Starting off with Wajoshg for the A course, and then heading over to the Nürburgring for their sprint circuit. So that's coming up races 5 and 6 in the touring cars. Then we head over to Spain for Catalonia, and then something a little bit tasty for the final race of the season. Could well be a decider. It's just who it's going to be deciding through as we take these touring cars over to Monaco to take them around the Azure circuit. Don't miss that one. That one is going to be absolutely action-packed. Now, whilst we've been following on all of this battle for 6th place, looks as though Jack de Menzies has now got himself up and around it. Currently running in 9th place, but not too far away, 2 seconds away from the 6th place of Spankmeyer at the moment. You can see him there in the background, currently battling with Old Smoky. So that is Spankmeyer moving through a back marker of Porsche Man. And 3 minutes to go, which is going to equate to another lap and a half, which should really land us up to about 27 laps here. Just depends on when the leader crosses the line, when the 45 minutes is up. And that is Al Axon moving his way up into 6th position, coming through Druids. He is going to make that one stick. It's just whether or not he's going to get the exit. A little bit of dirt spraying up there from Spankmeyer, so looks as though that move is done, nice and secured. And Jack de Menzies has also made a move up onto Old Smoky as well. He just needs to keep it on the black stuff, heavy into the braking there for the final corner, and looks as though that move is also done. So Old Smoky drops down a couple of places in a very short amount of time there. This is all to play for in this middle of the pack runners in the final couple of laps. Old Smoky, after having a great race, now finds himself in 9th position, and he's got a couple of very quick cars as well to try and make up in the final couple of laps. Meanwhile, Al Axon, what a drive it's been from him. We saw him very low down in the running order just a few laps ago. In fact, maybe I've spoken a bit too soon. Apologies, commentator's curse, as Spankmeyer takes over 6th place, and they come into the chuck it and throw, breaking into Shell's oil. I don't think he's going to be able to make that one stick. He has been looking very, very good through Sector 2, though, over these last few laps, Al Axon. So we'll wait and see what happens, but his Sector 1 let him down there, and is now putting him under pressure as well from Jack de Menzies in the Zavima, right behind these two. Very, very close action here in the FMTCC. And it's been that way throughout all of the series, really. If you've missed any of the races so far this championship, then don't worry, you can catch them all, whether or not it's our highlight videos or our full race coverage from our YouTube channel. Just have a look into the playlist. You'll find one there for 2021 Touring Car Championship Season 1. Hit that link and you'll find our previous 3 races and the highlight videos for those. Al Axon runs very wide. He manages to catch it, or does he? Runs very wide indeed. Jack de Menzies moved up the inside. In fact, I think Jack de Menzies has just taken 6th position from Spankmeyer. Goes into the braking here of Lodge. I think he's going to get that one done. We saw him very, very quick up the inside of Lodge when he was taking the position from 74 Ledgy, I think it was, earlier on in the race. So good movement from him. Good hustle as well. Final lap, I think it's going to be this time around. Let's just have a quick look where Pro Fubby is. Looks as though he's just come out of Cascade. So yeah, this is going to be our final lap. It's going to take him longer than 35 seconds to finish this one. Let's get back over to that action though. Spankmeyer isn't giving up that 6th place easily. And they have actually got a front marker in the way of Lecky soon to move over for. So that could play a contributing factor. Let's track Spankmeyer around as he comes up through Shell Oil. He's going to have to move over for Lecky. I think it's probably going to be on Hilltop that he moves alongside. In fact, no, it looks as though he just lets it go on the sort of approach to Britain's. He moves through. Lecky now with Jack de Menzies coming up next. Jack de Menzies with a better position to try and give that that blue flag over. Drivers do have 3 corners to do so, or a suitable amount of time, so let's see how close Lecky can get, and it might well be that he doesn't get close enough come the end of this lap, and Jack de Menzies makes a great recovery. We did see him go off pretty far on the way through Ireland Bend, about midway through this circuit, this race. I did think it was almost game over for him. We saw him slip all the way down to, I think, 12th position. But it's been a fantastic spectacle from all drivers, really. Inside the sort of top 10, I'd say. In fact, it's even further than that. We can see the difference between Casey Redwood and DJ Ledgy has been very, very close indeed. Spankmeyer, though, looks as though he's taken that position back as we cross the line. Pro Fubby is your victor for today. Lecky in second. The console in third with Waj in 4th place. Kovkar does enough for 5th, but Spankmeyer takes the 6th position back from Jack de Menzies due to a time penalty being applied. We knew that he had 2 seconds a bit earlier on. In fact, actually, correction, I think it was 4 seconds, so we'll soon see once the last of our drivers cross the line. It looks as though it's going to be Green Gaming as he comes down the back end of Hilltop, I think. About halfway through this last lap. Did start right at the back of the grid, but it's not been his greatest of races. Actually did all right last time out, Green Gaming. In fact, he's been just outside of the top 10 throughout this season. But not his best race today. We can put it down potentially to the qualifying ban that he incurred through this one. Just having a look at the comments. Looks as though you guys enjoyed that just as much as I did. Real close battles here in the touring cars. And as Green Gaming crosses the line, that is going to end the event. And here are your final standings for the race. Pro Fubby takes the victory. Best lap of 1:39.570. Have a look at that lap time from second place though, 1:39.282. In fact, let me bring them up on my telemetry board. That is the fastest lap of the race for Lecky 2000, so we will get that bonus point as well as a very strong second place finish. Console makes an amazing recovery drive to come in on the last place of the podium. 3rd place from him, and building upon last week's woes indeed. Josh comes in on 4th position with Kovkar in 5th and Spankmeyer in 6th. Jack de Menzies, admirable drive, but unfortunately those penalties cost him in the end. 7 seconds difference, the penalties between Spankmeyer and Jack de Menzies, and that sees him fall back into 7th place, just ahead of all U82 Al Axon with a 4-second penalty. And unfortunately for Old Smoky, he had a really good drive, but 6 seconds worth of penalty and a loss in lap time in the last couple of laps just seemed to cost him there, but still, strong drive from Old Smoky. 74 Ledgy tops out in 10th place with DJ Ledgy in 11th. And then Casey Redwood in 12th. He was running very well at the start of the race, just seemed to fall away towards the tail end. Does finish above Porsche Man though in 13th with Green Gaming in 14th. And Deadly Hawk finishing right at the very bottom of the race. Few laps down from Deadly Hawk. It'll take some improvement, I'm afraid to say. And that's all for tonight's action here in the Flux Motorsport Touring Car Championship. Remember, you can join Lecky 2000 live on Thursday from 8 o'clock p.m. for the GT1s and watch them battling around what is going to be a very, very tricky Zolder circuit in those 90s classics in the GT1 Championship. You'll be able to join me at 8 p.m. next Tuesday for Silverstone National. As I said before, keep an eye out on the weather reports for Silverstone. If you check on Monday for what the weather's going to be around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, you'll be able to tell whether or not it's going to be a wet one or a dry one. Other than that, to make sure that you keep up with all of the standings, actions, news and events from us here at Flux Motorsport, don't forget to follow us on our social media. You can find us on both Twitter and Facebook, as well as our Instagram pages, where we'll try and keep you all the latest goings on, as well as the overtake of the race. And of course, make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss any of the action. Anyway, that's all from me. It's been a fantastic Tuesday touring car event as ever. And I'll see you all again through the week Take care of everyone, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks and good night.